Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Original and of a kind not seen before. Of crops, harvested at an early stage of development, before complete maturity. New potatoes. Used of a living language, being the current stage in its development. Lacking training or experience. The new men were eager to fight. Having no previous example or precedent or parallel. Very recently. They are newly married. In use after medieval times. Not of long duration. Having just, or relatively recently, come into being or been made or acquired or discovered. A new law. Often followed by, to, unfamiliar. New experiences. Other than the former ones, different. They now have a new leaders. Unaffected by use or exposure. It looks like new. Original and of a kind not seen before. Not containing or composed of salt water. Fresh water. Improperly forward or bold. Don't be fresh with me. Not yet used or soiled. A fresh shirt. With restored energy. Free from impurities. Fresh air. Very recently. A freshly cleaned floor. Not soured or preserved. Imparting vitality and energy. Having recently calved and therefore able to give milk. The cow is fresh. Not canned or otherwise preserved. Fresh vegetables. Of a cycle, beginning or occurring again. A fresh start. Recently made, produced, or harvested. Fresh bread. Original and of a kind not seen before. The computer produced a completely novel proof of a well-known theorem. Pleasantly new or different. An extended fictional work in prose, usually in the form of a story. A printed and bound book that is an extended work of fiction. His bookcases were filled with nothing but novels. Of crops, harvested at an early stage of development, before complete maturity. Young corn. United States Civil Rights Leader, 1921 to 1971. United States religious leader of the Mormon Church after the assassination of Joseph Smith. He led the Mormon exodus from Illinois to Salt Lake City, Utah, 1801 to 1877. British physicist and Egyptologist. He revived the wave theory of light and proposed a three-component theory of color vision. He also played an important role in deciphering the hieroglyphics on the Rosetta Stone, 1773 to 1829. Suggestive of youth, vigorous and fresh. He is young for his age. United States baseball player and famous pitcher, 1867 to 1955. United States film and television actress, 1913 to 2000. Any immature animal. Young people collectively. Rock music appeals to the young. Used of living things, especially persons, in an early period of life or development or growth. Young people. Not tried or tested by experience. A young hand at plowing. English poet, 1683 to 1765. United States jazz tenor saxophonist, 1909 to 1959. Being in its early stage. A young industry. Relating to a recently developed fashion or style. Their offices are in a modern skyscraper. Used of a living language, being the current stage in its development. Ahead of the times. A typeface, based on an 18th-century design by Giambattista Bodoni, distinguished by regular shape and hairline serifs and heavy downstrokes. A contemporary person. Belonging to the modern era, since the Middle Ages. Modern art. Characteristic of present-day art and music and literature and architecture. Informal terms for nakedness. In the raw. Hurting. Lacking training or experience. Raw recruits. Used of wood and furniture. Raw wood. Used informally, completely unclothed. Used especially of commodities, being unprocessed or manufactured using only simple or minimal processes. Raw wool. Devoid of elaboration or diminution or concealment, bare and pure. Raw fury. Not processed or subjected to analysis. Raw data. Unpleasantly cold and damp. Brutally unfair or harsh. Received raw treatment from his friends. Having the surface exposed and painful. A raw wound. Not processed or refined. Raw sewage. Not treated with heat to prepare it for eating. Untempered and unrefined. Raw talent. Having no previous example or precedent or parallel. A time of unexampled prosperity. Very recently. A freshly cleaned floor. In an impudent or impertinent manner. Very recently. They are newly married. Something that serves as a model or a basis for making copies. This painting is a copy of the original. An original creation, i.e., an audio recording, from which copies can be made. Being or productive of something fresh and unusual, or being as first made or thought of. A truly original approach. Not derived or copied or translated from something else. The play is original, not an adaptation. A VG information, not secondhand or by way of something intermediary. His work is based on only original, not secondary, sources. Preceding all others in time or being as first made or performed. The original inhabitants of the Americas. In good time. During an early stage. Early on in her career. Before the usual time or the time expected. She graduated early. Belonging to the distant past. The early inhabitants of Europe. At or near the beginning of a period of time or course of events or before the usual or expected time. Early morning. Being or occurring at an early stage of development. In an early stage. Expected in the near future. Look for an early end to the negotiations. Of an early stage in the development of a language or literature. Very young. At an early age. In the recent past. Lately the rules have been enforced. At or toward an end or late period or stage of development. The late phase of feudalism. To an advanced time. Talked late into the evening. Later than usual or than expected. The train arrived late. After the expected or usual time, delayed. A belated birthday card. Used especially of persons of the immediate past. Our late president is still very active. Of the immediate past or just previous to the present time. A late development. Being or occurring at an advanced period of time or after a usual or expected time. Late evening. Having died recently. Her late husband. Of a later stage in the development of a language or literature, used especially of dead languages. Lacking practical experience or training. Lacking practical experience or training. Having no precedent, novel. An unprecedented expansion in population and industry. Conspicuously new. Conspicuously new. Shiny brand new shoes. Producing a burning sensation on the taste nerves. Hot salsa. Characterized by violent and forceful activity or movement, very intense. The fighting became hot and heavy. Charged or energized with electricity. A hot wire. Newest or most recent. News hot off the press. Very fast. Capable of quick response and great speed. A hot sports car. Color, bold and intense. Hot pink. Extended meanings, especially of psychological heat, marked by intensity or vehemence, especially of passion or enthusiasm. A hot temper. Having or bringing unusually good luck. Hot at craps. Having or dealing with dangerously high levels of radioactivity. Hot fuel rods. Having or showing great eagerness or enthusiasm. Hot for travel. Marked by excited activity. A hot week on the stock market. Newly made. A hot scent. Of a seeker, very near to the object sought. You are hot. Performed or performing with unusually great skill and daring and energy. A hot drummer. Recently stolen or smuggled. Hot merchandise. Sexually excited or exciting. Was hot for her. Used of physical heat. Having a high or higher than desirable temperature or giving off heat or feeling or causing a sensation of heat or burning. Hot stove. Very good, often used in the negative. He's hot at math but not so hot at history. Very popular or successful. One of the hot young talents. Very unpleasant or even dangerous. Make it hot for him. Wanted by the police. A hot suspect. Conspicuously new. Completely neat and clean. Conspicuously new. A spick and span novelty. Completely neat and clean. A spick and span kitchen. The first light of day. Atmospheric phenomena accompanying the daily appearance of the sun. Of an industry or technology, new and developing. High technology sunrise industries. The daily event of the sun rising above the horizon. Not tried or tested by experience. Still untested in battle. Not yet proved or subjected to testing. An untested drug. Not tried or tested by experience. An illustrator untried in mural painting. Not yet proved or subjected to testing. An untried procedure. Not in active use. Not yet used or soiled. An unused envelope. Not yet put into use. We bought an unused car for a change. Astrology. A person who is born while the sun is in Virgo. In a state of sexual virginity. A spinster or virgin lady. The sixth sign of the zodiac. The sun is in this sign from about August 23 to September 22. A person who has never had sex. Being used or worked for the first time. Virgin wool. Of a new kind or fashion, gratuitously new. She buys all these newfangled machines and never uses them. Having just or recently arisen or come into existence. A baby from birth to 4 weeks. Having just or recently arisen or come into existence. With newborn fears. Recently born. A newborn infant. Of a new kind or fashion, gratuitously new. Newfangled ideas. Newly discovered. His newfound aggressiveness. Characteristic of someone who has risen economically or socially but lacks the social skills appropriate for this new position. A person who has suddenly risen to a higher economic status but has not gained social acceptance of others in that class. Of or characteristic of a parvenu.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.